Hello guys and welcome to another exciting tutorial of 3ds Max. It's your host AJ, and in the last video we discussed that how we can actually navigate through our scene, and it was a pretty basic introduction about 3ds Max interface. If you haven't watched my video, the link is in description. Go watch it out and don't forget to hit the like. But right now, coming back to today's tutorial, today we'll be creating some objects and we are just gonna play with its properties. So without wasting much time, let's get started. So before you create anything, I want you to go over your customize drop down right there and click unit setup. So you guys can see this kind of dialog is going to open up. It's really important that you scale your object and work according to correct measurements, because while you're making something complex, it's really important to work with correct ratios and correct units. So you can actually configure your units over here. As you can see right now, I'm selecting the metric system of the unit. Here you can assess your millimeters, centimeters, meters or kilometers unit, or if you want to work in feet or inches, you can select the US standard and just select any one of these if you want, or you can even create a custom one. So just click the custom one, and as you can see, I'm having one right now, like my 1A is equals to 4.6 inches. You can even alter those values, and 3ds Max will work according to this unit, but right now I like to keep it on meters. Don't forget to hit OK if you want to save your settings. So once we're done with that, now we can create something. So to create something, you can actually go over your create panel right there, go over your geometry sub tab right there, and make sure you are selecting the standard parameters in your drop down. We'll be talking about these also in our future tutorials, but right now just select the standard parameters, and you guys can see that we have a preset of shapes available. Click any one of these. For instance, I'm gonna go with box right now. Come over your active viewport, click anywhere and just drag to define its base. Once you have defined its base, just drag up by leaving your click to define its height. So as you guys can see, it's pretty simple in 3ds Max to create something. You guys can see that the properties of my object is displayed, the parameters are displayed over here. You can use your right click to cancel the creation command over your mouse, and you can left click in your viewport to unselect your object. As you guys can see, when I'm selecting my object, the edges become highlighted. So once you're done with creating, you guys can see after selecting your object, you can't see anything over your create panel. So if you want to view your properties, you guys can go over your modify panel right there. And in modify, you guys can see that you can even rename your object. You can apply some modifiers. We'll be talking about these too in a future tutorial. So right now, just don't play with these things. They're gonna mash up all of your scene, actually your object. But you can actually alter your length, width and height here. So for instance, I'm gonna squeeze up my object, so I'm just gonna play it 0.5, so it's gonna shrink up, or you can even play with different settings. For instance, I'm just gonna make it 5, so it's gonna stretch up, and I'm just gonna give it a little bit lower height. So you can just rescale your object over here. Another way of rescaling your object, let me first get that to it. Yeah. So another way of rescaling our object is going over here, your select and uniform scale, or you can just hit the R on your keyboard to get this kind of a pivot. So using this, you can actually rescale your object. For instance, I'm just going to select the y-axis of this pivot and I'm just going to drag it, so you guys can see how my object is stretching, and same thing can be done with this axis or with this axis. So to rescale your object in two different axes together, select any intermediate between two axes and drag it to rescale it. To maximize all your vertices at a single time, you can just get your mouse in the middle and drag it, and you guys can see that's how we can do it. To rotate your object, you can go over your select and rotate, or you can just hit E on your keyboard to get this kind of pivot. So you can actually rotate your object, like for instance selecting any axis, and you guys can see I'm rotating it, or selecting this axis, you can rotate it, or with this axis too. You can even make a free rotation by clicking in middle, and that's how you can make a free rotation too. Now for moving your object in your 3D viewport, you can go by your select and move, or you can just press W on your keyboard and you'll get this kind of a pivot. So select any one axis, move it, move it, move it, or you can even select an intermediate plane to move it in a plane like this or like this. Interesting thing to note is that while you're selecting one axis, other axes get locked. So I can't move it in other axes how hard I try. So that's how you can actually move your object or rescale it. Coming back to its properties, you guys can see that we have a length segment, width segment, and a height segment available. So I'm gonna tell you what actually these segments actually mean. These segments allow you to break your object into subparticles. Like for instance, I'm just gonna enter a higher value like 10 here also, and here also. So you can see on my other viewports, like my object is now divided into smaller cubes. So how does this help us? Actually, while we are modifying our object and while we are sculpting it, this tells computer that from where we can actually move our object, or how we can stretch it, or how we can want to give it a free sculpting abilities. So I know I'm sounding pretty stupid, but this will become familiar with this thing pretty soon. I think so in next video I'll be doing about modifiers, so we'll get to this part on that tutorial. But for right now, one more thing, I want to tell you that you can actually change the way you see your object in your viewport by going over your smooth and highlight right over there. Just click it and you guys can see this kind of a drop down is available, so you can select how you want to see your object. Like for instance, if you want to see your object in wireframe, just click wireframe and you can see that I have a wireframe available of my object. Same thing can be done over here. So I'll be giving it a smooth and highlight, and this one also smooth and highlight, and this one also smooth and highlight. So that's how you can actually change the view you are looking at your object. You can even work with smooth and highlights and edge faces. I like to work like that because this allows you to see your object subdivisions also. So that was another basic tutorial about 3ds Max. I hope you guys enjoyed. In next video we'll be probably talking about some modifiers, and we'll be using a modifier on our object, and they will be explaining this length segments, height segments, width segments, and height segments over there. So I think so you guys enjoyed. If you haven't watched my video, as I said in the starting of the video, go watch it out and stay with me. Don't forget to like my video, subscribe me, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Goodbye.